Okay, Wildcat, stay with me at 4.3, Dividing Polynomials Assignment Tutorial. Let's look at question number 1. Use long division to find the quotient and remainder. Enter the result in the form dividend equals divisor times quotient plus remainder. Okay, so we have 2x to the fourth plus x cubed minus 11x plus 323 divided by x squared plus 6. Okay, so what we do is we have x squared. Now, we have to include the 0x, so x squared plus 0x plus 6. Okay, and then we have 2x to the fourth plus 1x cubed plus 0x squared. Again, we need the 0x squared plus 11x plus 323. Okay, so now let's do the division. We ask ourselves, what do you multiply 1x squared to give you 2x to the fourth? And the answer to that is 2x squared. Okay, now notice I'm keeping that in the x squared column. Okay, so now we multiply 2x squared times 1x squared is 2x to the fourth. 2x squared times 0x is 0x cubed. 2x squared times 6 is 12x squared. Now you notice I'm leaving out the plus sign because we have to subtract. So we're going to subtract this, this, and this. And if you did it correctly, this first term will cancel, and it does. So now we combine terms. 1x cubed minus 0x cubed is 1x cubed. And then 0x squared minus 12x squared is minus 12x squared. Okay? And then now we ask ourselves, well, what do you multiply 1x squared by to give you 1x cubed? The answer to that is plus 1x. Okay? So now we multiply 1x times 1x squared is 1x cubed. 1x times 0x is 0x squared. And then 1x times 6 is 6x. And we need to bring down the minus 11x. Okay? Oops, sorry. All right, so now we subtract. And if we did this correctly, the first term cancels, and it does. Okay, so now that becomes negative 12x squared minus 17x. Let's go ahead and bring down the plus 323. All right, now we ask ourselves, well, what do you multiply 1x squared to give you negative 12x squared? And the answer to that is minus 12. Okay, so now we multiply negative 12 times 1x squared is negative 12x squared. Negative 12 times 0x is 0x. And then negative 12 times 6 is, let me use a calculator, 12 negative times 6 is negative 72. So minus 72. Okay, now we subtract. When you subtract a negative, that becomes positive. So again, the first term canceled. So then you're left with negative 17x, and then 323 plus 72 is, we can just add vertically, that's 5, that's 9, and that's 3, so it's plus 395. Okay, which is the remainder. Okay, so our answer is 2x squared. Now, almost forgot, you have the divisor, which is x squared plus 6, times the quotient, 2x squared, which this is the quotient, and this is the divisor. And that's the remainder, which we'll just call r. Okay. All right, so 2x squared plus 1x minus 12. And then we have plus the remainder, which is minus 17x plus 395. Okay, go ahead and finish up problem number 1. All right. Let's take a look at question number 2. Use long division to find the quotient remainder. Enter the result in the form dividend equals divisor times the quotient plus remainder. Okay, so we have x squared minus 2, which is x squared plus 0x minus 2. And then we have here 17x cubed minus 4x squared plus 39x minus 6. Okay, so let's do the long division. So you ask yourself, what do you multiply 1x squared to give you 17x cubed? The answer to that is 17x. Okay, so now we multiply. 17x times 1x squared is 17x cubed. 17x times 0x is 0x. And then 17 times 2 is a minus 34x. Okay, now we subtract. When you subtract a negative, it becomes positive. And if you did this correctly, the first terms will cancel. So then you have negative 4x squared. And then, let's see, 39 plus 34. Let me just put in the calculator just to make sure I get the number exactly correct and not make a mistake. Is 73. So plus 73x minus 6. Now you ask yourself, what do you multiply x squared by to give you negative 4x squared? And the answer to that is minus 4. Okay, so now we multiply negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 0x is 0x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8. And now we subtract. Okay, and actually let me move the camera up just a little bit. All right, so we subtract, that becomes a positive, minus, minus. If you did this correctly, the first terms cancel, they do. So you're left with 73x minus 14. Okay, so we fill this in. Remember, this is the quotient. This is the remainder. It's going to call R. And then this is the divisor. Okay, so we have the x squared minus 2 right there. Now we have 17x minus 4 plus 73x minus 14. Okay, go ahead and finish up question number 2. All right. Let's take a look at question number 3. Okay. Given p of x, find p negative 3 by using synthetic division. Okay. So the negative 3 is your a value, which goes there, and then we take the 8, 9, 8, and 1 and bring it here. So that's 8, 9, 8, 1. And we're good because we have cube 2, 1 constant. Okay. Now for the synthetic division, we bring down the first term, 8, and now we multiply. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. Okay. Let me check to make sure. Know what 9 minus 24 equals negative 15. So let's bring down to negative 15. Negative 3 times negative 15 is a positive 45. And again, we should all know that 45, what 45 and 8 combined to be, but sometimes it's good to use the calculator just to make sure you don't make an accidental calculation error. So it's 53. And then negative 3 times 53 is, I want to say that's negative 159, but again, it doesn't hurt to use your calculator. So negative 3 times 53 is negative 159. Okay. Okay, so combine, that's negative 158, which is your remainder. Okay, so P of negative 3 equals the remainder, which in this case equals negative 158. Okay, so we'll finish up question number 3. All right, let's take a look at the next question. Okay, question number 4. Okay, given p of x, find p of negative 1 by using synthetic division. So the negative 1 is your a value, and we're going to bring these numbers down to here. So that's 1x cubed, 2, negative 1, negative 15. And we're good because we have 3, 2, x to the 1 constant. Okay, so now we bring down the 1, and we multiply. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Combined. 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 1 and 1 is negative 1. That combines to be negative 2. Negative 1 and negative 2 is a positive 2. So this combines to be negative 13, which is your remainder. Okay, so p of negative 1 is equal to the remainder, which in this case equals negative 13. Okay, go ahead and finish up question number 4. All right, question number 5. Given p of x, find p of negative 4 by using synthetic division. Okay, now this is your a value. Okay, now we bring down the numbers here. So this is 8, 27, negative 20. And we have 3, 2, to the 1. So we're in order. We're good. We're not missing any. So now let's use, use a synthetic division. So bring down the 8. Okay. Negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. Okay, combine, that is negative 5. Negative 4 and negative 5 combine to be 20. This combines to be 0, so your remainder is 0. And p of negative 4 equals a remainder, which equals 0. Okay? All right, go ahead and finish up question number 5. All right. Question number 6. Given p of x, find p of negative 5 by using synthetic division. Okay, so the negative 5 is your a value. Okay, now we bring down the numbers. Okay, so this is negative 1, negative 1. Now we're missing the x squared, so that's 0, then the negative 85, and then the 92. Okay. All right, so now bring down the negative 1. Negative 5 and negative 1 is a positive 5. Okay. Negative 1 combines to be, negative 1 and 5 combines to be positive 4. Negative 5 times 4 is a negative 20. 0 and negative 20 combine to be negative 20. Negative 5 times negative 20 is a positive 100. Negative 85 and 100 combine to be 15. And let me check. I want to say that's negative 75, but let me make sure. Negative 5 times 15 is negative 75. And then let's do 92 minus 75, which is 17. Okay, so the remainder is 17. So p of negative 5 equals the remainder, which equals 17. Okay, so go ahead and finish up number 6. All right, now let's take a look at question number 7. Given a polynomial p of x uses synthetic division to divide by x minus a and obtain the quotient and the non-zero remainder, enter the results in the form of p of x equals x minus a times the quotient plus p of a. Okay, so the first thing you do is you set the x minus 8 equal to 0, and you're going to solve that for x. Okay, so x minus 8, so you add 8 to both sides, so then x equals 8. That is now your a value. Okay, so the 8 goes right here, and then we bring these numbers down. So the 6, the 5, the negative 4, 11, and then the minus 83. And we're good because we have 3, 2, 1 constant. Okay. All right, so bring down the 6. 8 times 6 is 48. Okay. And then 48 and 5 is 53. Okay. Now, I don't know 53 times 8 off the top of my head. I want to say 424 if I had to guess, but let's 8 times 53 is 424. Okay. Negative 4 and 11, and 424 is 13. Let's see. And then I want to say 8 times 13 is 104, but let's use our calculator to make sure. 8 times 13 is 104. And then let's see what, I want to say it's 21, but again, you always want to use a calculator whenever you're not sure. So 83 negative plus 104 is 21. So your remainder is 21. Okay, now this was 6x cubed 5x squared minus 411x plus the constant. Okay, now whenever you divide by exponents, the exponents decrease by 1. So this becomes 6x squared plus 53x plus 13 plus the remainder of 21. Okay, so we can fill that in here. So that's 6x squared plus 53x plus 13 plus the remainder of 21, which makes sense because the x minus 8 is the here, that's the x minus a. This is your quotient, and then p of a, which we learned in a couple problems, is the remainder, which is 21. Okay? All right, go ahead and finish up question number 7. All right. Take a look at question number 8. Okay, given a polynomial p of x, use synthetic division to divide by x minus a and obtain the quotient and the non-zero remainder. Enter results in the form of p of x equals x minus a times the quotient plus p of a. Okay, so the first thing is you're going to set the x plus 0.25 equal to 0 and solve for x. So we're going to subtract 0.25 from both sides. So x equals negative 0.25. Okay, so then our a value is negative 0.25. Okay, now we bring down the numbers from here. So that's 8. Now we're missing the cubed, so that's 0. And then negative 24.5 minus 12 plus, you don't need to put the plus, you just have to put the 7. Okay. Let's extend this line out. Okay. So you bring down the 8. And negative 0.25 times 8 is, I think is negative 2, but let's use a calculator just to make sure. So 0.25 negative times 8 is negative 2. Okay, now 0 and negative 2 combine to be negative 2. I believe negative 0.25 times negative 2 is 0.5, but let's use a calculator just to make sure. Oh, I think I made a mistake. Let me clear that up. So 0.25 times 2.5. And you know it's positive because a negative times a negative is positive. So that's 0.5. Now, negative 24.5 and 0.5 combine to be negative 24. And then negative 0.25 times negative 24. Let's put in the calculator. We know it's positive, so we just have to put 0.25 times 24 equals 6. So that's a positive 6. Negative 12 and 6 combine to be negative 6. And then, again, negative times negative is positive, so 0.25 times 6 is 1.5. And combined, that's 8.5, which is our remainder. Now, we know that this was x to the fourth, 0x cubed, negative 24.5 x squared, x plus the constant. Okay. Now, when you divide, you reduce the exponents by 1. So this becomes 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 24x minus 6, and then you have your remainder. Okay. So this is 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 24x minus 6 plus 8.5. All right. So going to finish up question number 8. All right, let's take a look at question number 9. Given a polynomial p of x, use synthetic division to divide x minus a and obtain the quotient and the non-zero remainder. Enter the result in the form of p of x equals x minus a quotient plus p of a. Okay, so first thing you do is set x plus 11 equal to 0. Okay, and solve. So you subtract 11 from both sides. So x equals negative 11. Okay, so that's your a value, negative 11. So now we bring down the negative 20, negative 211, 127, 308, and 10. Okay, so now we bring down the first number, negative 20. So negative 11 times negative 20. We know it's a positive, so let's use our calculator. 11 times 20 equals 220. Okay, negative 211 and 220 is a positive 9. Negative 11 times 9 is negative 99. And then I want to say 127 minus 99 is 28, but let's use our calculator just to make sure. 127 minus 99 is 28. And then let's multiply negative 11 times 28. So times 28 is negative 308. Which is 0. Negative 11 times 0 is 0. 10 and 0 combined to be 10, so the remainder is 10. Now remember, this was x to the fourth. This was x cubed, x squared, x. Apologize, the pencil broke, so I had to get a new one. So now, when you divide, you reduce the exponents by 1. So that's negative 20x cubed plus 9x squared plus 28x plus 0, and that's your remainder 10. Okay? So now let's fill it in. So that's negative 20x cubed plus 9x squared plus 28x. You don't have to put the plus 0 plus the remainder of 10. Okay, go ahead and finish up question number 9. Okay. Let's move on to question number 10. Straighten the papers out. All right. Question number 10. Determine whether the given binomial is a factor of the polynomial p of x. Okay. So again, the first thing we're going to do is set x plus 2 equal to 0 and solve for x. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. So x equals -2. That's your a value. Okay. Now we're going to use synthetic division to see if x plus 2 is a factor. So we have 1, 2, -1 minus 2. Now, when we use synthetic division, if the remainder is 0, it's a factor, okay? So we bring down the 1. -2 times 1 is -2. That combines to be 0. -2 times 0 is 0. Bring down the -1. -1 times the -1 is a positive. I'm sorry, -2 times -1 is positive 2. The remainder is 0, okay? So since the remainder is 0, x plus 2 is a factor. Now, to find the remaining factors, we're going to factor this. Now, this was x cubed, x squared, x, but when you divide, you reduce the powers or the degree by 1. So this becomes 1x squared plus 0x minus 1, which can be written as 1x squared minus 1. Now, to factor this, we know it's 2 parentheses. Okay. Now, we know that x times x is x squared. Now, you ask yourself, well, what do you multiply to give you -1? Well, -1 plus 1. Okay. Now, let me steal some space from this problem here. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to check your factoring. Okay. So let's go and use the box method. If we did this correctly, x minus 1 times x plus 1 will give you x squared minus 1. So let's check. X times x is x squared. X times -1 is -1x. 1 times x is 1x. 1 times -1 is -1. Well, 1x minus 1x cancels, so you're left with 1x squared minus 1, which is that, so this factor is correct. Okay, so the remaining factors are x minus 1 times x plus 1. Okay, go ahead and finish up question number 10. All right. Let's take a look at question number 11. Okay, determine whether the given binomial is a factor of the polynomial p of x. So to figure out if x plus 8 is a factor, we're going to first set it equal to 0 and solve. So to do that, we set x plus equal to 0, subtract 8 from both sides. So x equals -8. Okay, that's your a value. Okay, now we bring down the 2, the 19. We're missing, we're missing an x squared, so that's 0 minus 190 plus 2. Okay, so remember, when we use synthetic division, if we get a remainder of 0, then it's a factor. So we bring down the 2. -8 times 2 is -16. 19 minus 16 is 3. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Combines to be negative 24. Let's see. Let me check the calculator. Negative 8 times negative 24. Which we know is going to be positive, so we can just do 8 times, I'm going to multiply by 88. Let's try it again. 8 times 24 is 192. That combines to be 2. All right, so negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. So 2 and negative 16 combines to be negative 14. That's your remainder. Okay. So now, since the remainder is negative 14, they might also say not 0. I don't know what they're going to say, but they might say not 0 or negative 14. Okay. X plus 8 is not a factor. Okay. All right. Go ahead and finish up question number 11. All right. Question number 12. Determine whether the given binomial is a factor of the polynomial p of x. If so, find the remaining factors. Okay. All right. So we're going to set x minus 8 equal to 0 and solve for x. So we add 8 to both sides. So x equals 8. Okay. So that's your a value. Bring down the 1, the negative 19, the 116, and the negative 224. All right, and we're going to do synthetic division. And remember, if the remainder is 0, x minus 8 is a factor. So we bring down the 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Negative 19 and 8 combine to be negative 11. Let's just make sure that's right. 19. Yep. All right. So 8 times negative 11 is negative 88. And it's not a bad idea, by the way, to every once in a while check your calculations on the calculator just to make sure you don't make a calculation error, okay? Combined to be 116 minus 88, I think is 28, but again, let's use a calculator just to make sure. If the calculator wants to work. Whoa, what just happened? Let's try this again. There you go. So, there you go. Somehow I lost the standard calculator. So 116 minus 88 is 28. Okay, so bring down 28. Let's multiply 28 times 8. And I think it's 224, but let's make sure 8 times 28. Okay, so it's 224. So the remainder is 0. Okay. So since the remainder is 0, x minus 8 is a factor. Okay. So to find the remaining factors, we're going to have to factor this. Now we know that this was x cubed, x squared, x minus, but when you divide, the exponents decrease by 1. So this becomes 1x squared minus 11x plus 28. Okay. So the factor, we know it's 2 parentheses. Okay, we know x and x make x squared. Now we need to find out two numbers that multiply to give you 28, but combine to be negative 11. Okay. All right. So let's think about it. Let's just try -1 times -28. Well, we know that equals 28. But -1 minus 28 combined to be -29, not -11. So that combination doesn't work. And I'm just going to go in order so I don't miss one. Okay. It doesn't have to be a guessing game. Okay. -2 times -14 is a positive 28. Now, -2 minus 14 equals -16. Not -11, but we're getting closer. Okay. I don't believe 3 goes into 28, so we can skip 3. 4 does. 4 times -4 times -7 equals a positive 28. And then -4 minus 7 equals -11. This is your combination that works. Okay? So we know our factors are x minus 4, x minus 7. And we can check by using the box method. So it's x minus 4, x minus 7. And if they are factors, when we multiply, we will get x squared minus 11x plus 28. Okay, so x times x is x squared. X times -4 is -4x. -7 times x is -7x. And then -7 times 4 is a positive 28. Well, you get x squared. That combines to be -11x plus 28. Okay, so our factors are x minus 4, x minus 7. Okay, go ahead and finish up question number 12. All right, question number 13. Okay, determine whether the given binomial is a factor of the polynomial p of x. Okay, so the first thing we do is set x minus 1 equal to 0 and solve for x. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So x equals 1. So that's your a value. Bring down the 3, the -3, the 15, the 3, and the -18. And remember, when we do the synthetic division, if we get a remainder of 0, then we know that x minus 1 is a factor. So bring down the 3. 1 times 3 is 3. -3, 3 combined to be 0. 1 and 0 is 0. Bring down to 15. 1 and 15 combined to be 15. 3 and 15 become 18. 1 times 18 is 18. So the remainder is 0. Okay. Now, I've been writing 0, but HRW might actually write the word 0. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so since the remainder is 0, x minus 1 is a factor. Okay. All right, now to find the factors, this was x to the 4th, this was x cubed, this was x squared, this was x, and now it's minus 18. So this becomes 3x cubed plus 0x squared plus 15x plus 18. Okay, now the only thing you can do with this one is, first of all, this is 0, so you can ignore this. All we can do is factor a 3 and from each term. Okay, So that leaves 3 times 1x cubed plus 5x plus 6. There's nothing else you can do factoring, okay? So the remaining factors are 3, and I think they write it this way. They might put an and between those, but I'm not sure, okay? All right, go ahead and finish up 13. All right, question 14, okay? Determine whether the given binomial is a factor of the polynomial p of x, okay? So again, we said x minus 5 equal to 0 and solve. So we add 5 to both sides, okay? So then x equals 5, that's your a value. Bring down the 2, the negative 10, the 3, and the minus 14. So bring down the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, combined to be 0. 5 times 0 is 0. 3. 5 times 3 is 15. The remainder is 1. So since the remainder is 1, or they might say not 0, I'm not sure which choice they want. X minus 5 is not a factor. Okay? All right, go and finish up 14. All right, 15. The volume of a rectangle prism whose dimensions are binomials with integers coefficients is modeled by the function v of x equals x cubed minus 8x squared plus 17x minus 10. Given that x minus 1 and x minus 2 are two of the dimensions, find the missing dimensions of the prism. The missing dimension is, so we know that volume equals length times width times height. So let's call this length, let's call this width, and we are saying we don't have the height, okay? So to find this missing dimension, we're first going to multiply these. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. And negative 1 times negative 2 is a positive 2. This simplifies to be x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, this is going to become the divisor. Okay, so this is x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, and we're going to divide that into the dividend 1x cubed minus 8x squared plus 17x minus 10. Okay, so we ask ourselves, what do we multiply x squared by to give you x cubed? The answer to that is 1x. We multiply x times x squared is 1x cubed. 1x times negative 3 is negative 3x squared. 1x times 2 is 2x. We subtract. That cancels. So then you get negative 8x squared combined with 3 is negative 5x squared. That's plus 15x. Let's bring down the minus 10. You ask yourself, what do you multiply x squared by to give you negative 5x squared? The answer is minus 5. Negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 3 is a positive 15x. Negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. You subtract. That becomes positive minus positive. Cancels, 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 remainder 0. So the remaining dimension is x minus 5. Okay, so the missing dimension is x minus 5. Okay, that should hopefully help you on your 4.3 dividing polynomials assignment. So with that, go and get started on that assignment and have a wonderful Wildcat day.